the Law Court complex in Accra, including physically challenged force to climb layers of staircase to access justice due to malfunction of all elevators available to the public.
I'm compelled to cope with the situation. I don't like it, but there's very little I can do. And we don't expect that the elevator is not one, about 4. They're all broken down and are not repaired up to now.
Region call on government to take immediate action on the assassination attempts on our wing paramount chief.
And when our complaint gets to the police and they don't give it the maximum attention, it makes us to lose the trust and confidence we have in the police, and that shouldn't be the case.
And still to come on CNR Extra, players in the textiles industry lament the negative impact of the removal of the subsidy on residual fuel oil on their operations.
In a couple of weeks, we lost that 55% of subsidy. And representing 60% of our COGS, it means that if you really want to replicate that on the consumers or on the shopper, you have to increase pricing.
CNR Extra is live on CCTV. You can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comments via WhatsApp line 0204447033, and we are streaming live on YouTube on CCTV. Jude, Mensa, Duncan, you welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Philip.
It's a Friday.
Yeah, and
we love Fridays.
We all do love Fridays because we get the weekend to cool off,
exactly,
recharge, and come back again. So yeah, we're looking forward to the weekend.
Let's start off from the National Democratic Congress, because one of the individuals contesting the flag bearership position
and the Ashanti Regional Women's Organizer of the NDC, Gloria Huze, has picked up nomination forms for former Finance Minister Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. The National Democratic Congress, NDC, has officially opened its doors for flag bearer aspirants ahead of the 2024 elections. So far, 4 persons, including former President Mahama, have picked up their forms to contest as the flag bearer for the NDC. City News' Akosia Otri has more in the following report.
On Thursday morning, supporters of the former Finance Minister, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, thronged the premises of the headquarters of the National Democratic Congress to pick up a nomination form on his behalf. So far, 4 individuals, including the former President, John Mahama, former Kumasi Mayor, Kojo Bonsu, and one businessman, Ernest Kweku Kobia, have picked up forms for the contest slated for May 13, 2023. Leading Dr. Duffuor's delegation to the NDC head office on Thursday morning were scores of supporters and the Ashanti Regional Women's Organizer who picked the form. The chairman of the election committee of the NDC, Kakrai, the economy voted into power.
I, together with all Ghanaians, we have been overpowered by the stench of corruption that has engulfed this nation on the Kufuor. And we know he's the competent, provided he gets the votes of the delegates. Is that also? Ensure that the aspirant fills out the forms correctly, fully, faithfully, and loyally, and bring it back to us a month today. And when you bring it, you shall have a vetting committee that will vet it. If he passes the test, you still pass May 13. If God is good with him and he wins, he will represent all of us. Amen. You need a champion. Amen. So tell your. Thank you very much. Thank you.
spokesperson for Dr. Dufour, Antonio Edemasinho, also addressed the press.
His leadership as finance minister, Ghana recorded its best economic performance ever. Indeed, one that the NDC as a party is proud of. Secondly, his enterprise of business is one that is evident for all of us to see. This election is not going to be business as usual, and indeed it cannot be. To be empowered economically, to be able to fully participate in our democratic process as a party and as a country. Lastly, it's evident that Dr. Kwabena Dufour's Anwota project as a country, and that Dr. Kwabena Dufour, we shall experience true leadership, one we can trust, and I can promise you, Ghana and NDC never will Papa.
The nomination form was then handed over to Dr. Dufour at his office in Osu in Accra.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We are what? Eagle? Aren't we eagle? The place for eagle is not the land, it's where? The sky. The eagle will soar again. Ghana will soar again. Under the LDC, yes, the economy will grow. We produce a very prosperous economy. We will be able to bring all this back. Our government, from 2025, will bring the economy back within 2 years.
To be the flag bearer for the party. Yesterday on Eyewitness News, Rojo Meto-Nuno, that is Robert Joseph Meto-Nuno, who is a member of the campaign team and of Dr. Kwabena Dufour, is also saying that we are in right now, according to what the NDC has been saying, Dr. Kwabena Dufour is the right man to address these challenges. And if given the nod, why not? We will be in heaven.
I mean, if you go back to the reasons why the chairman of the party, Sidun Ketia, gave for the change in minority leadership, then it presupposes that Dr. Dufour is also in the right place. Because, I mean, he was governor of the Bank of Ghana. He also became finance minister, recorded some really impressive numbers, single-digit inflation during his tenure as finance minister. So, I mean, he has the wealth of experience in terms of economy, in terms of the finance industry. I mean, you can make a case that his bank wins then all of that, but he has some proven track record, some lot of experience. So, I mean, by any stretch of imagination, he is a fine gentleman. So, I think that he appears, former President John Mahama is still the overwhelming favorite to lead the party. I mean,
well, you may say that, but Charlie, that's what some.
I think it's a foregone conclusion that former President Mahama would lead the party going into the 2024 election. But for me, Philip, my bigger problem has been what appears to be the apparent breakdown of principles. I mean, during the recently held NDC Congress at the Accra Sports Stadium, speaker after speaker, what we saw was speakers coming on stage endorsing Mahama. Quite recently, we saw Professor Alabi together in the company of other regional chairmen openly endorsing the candidature of Mahama going into an election. For me, I think it's quite problematic in the sense that all candidates who want to vie for it, and that's the beauty of democracy. So coming out and appearing to endorse one candidate ahead of the other going into an election like this is quite unfortunate. But I mean, Philip, you can understand why some of these things are happening. It's also because of the history of the party. There's some history to it, right? So those who are not bound by history are more likely to back to the year prior to the the 2000 election, where Professor Mills and the late Professor Butchie were contesting. I mean, we all remember the pseudo declaration by the late President Rawlings that sort of put President Mills in the limelight. Against all odds, against laid down party structures, President Rawlings went ahead and sort of endorsed the candidature of President, that at the time, Vice President Mills. And that has now become some sort of bedrock, the foundation going out. In the 2000, he went against Obeda Samwa. 2004, he went against Professor Butchie. He easily wiped him out in that particular race because of that sort of endorsement that was there before him. So the point I'm making is that there's some history to it, so it's not surprising. But in the future, it can harm the party in that now it's because it's some sort of lopsided challenge in that Mahama appears to be the overwhelming favorite. But if the party or their race was quite similar to that of the MPP, where it was much more keenly contested between some sort of two arrowheads, I think the NDC will be in big trouble if we saw official leading members going into a flag bearership race. So it shouldn't be allowed to fester. We understand, and I think even Dufour himself will know that even if he gets some sort of percentage going into some 10-15% of the votes going in his favor, he'll be really grateful for that amount. It's quite clear President Mahama or former President Mahama is the overwhelming favorite, but you need to create an equal and level playing field in that everybody should be free. The democracy.
So hopefully we will still update the viewers on who becomes the flag bearer of the party at the end of the entire competition. But we know that today ends the deadline for the picking up of the nomination forms. The party, that is the National Democratic Congress, hasn't said anything or issued any statement indicating that there's been an extension from the timetable the party issued initially. The nomination forms, the picking of the nomination forms started from 22nd of February and it ends today, that is on the 24th of February. Let's move away from the National Democratic Congress and go to the family house of the late Christian Jude. Yesterday, the NDC Youth Wing was there to make some donations to the family house. Let's bring you that insight.
Democratic Congress NDC has donated 2,000 cedis to support the family of the late Christian. On Thursday, City Sports' Evans Ofocho Manso has a wrap of the day's activities from the family house of the late Christian Achu at Ogbojo in Accra. Pichichi, take it up.
Thank you. It's the fourth day since the book of condolence was opened at the family house of Christian Achu at Odojo. The day started with the arrival of Black Stars fullback Samuel Inkum. He came to commiserate with the family of his late national teammate and also signed the book of condolence. According to Inkum, he pledged to support the family towards the funeral. Speaking to City News, he indicated that he still cannot believe that his former teammate is gone.
To be honest, my brother, it's not easy at all. You know, I still don't even think that tree is gone. But at the end of the day, we cannot do nothing. You understand what I mean? It's still. Yeah. To his society, and that's something that is very, very good as a person. He's a human, to be honest. And the thing that I would love so much is that 2015, the Cup of Nations, you know, is amazing.
Christian Achu was a former student of the TI Ahmadiyya Senior High School in Kumasi. Some of his former classmates were also here to commiserate with the family. Officials from Turkish Airlines followed suit to commiserate with the family of Christian Achu. Achu's final club was Hatayspor in the Turkish Super League before the earthquake early this month. A delegation from the National Democratic Congress was next. The delegation was led by the National Youth Organizer, lawyer George Opariado. They donated 2,000 Ghana cedi to the family and promised to further support the family. Lawyer George Ado further indicated that the top hierarchy of the NDC will be back to support the family further. Speaking to City News, lawyer George Opariado eulogized Christian Achu.
Charity inspires many other people, and the NDC is one political organization that always believes in giving back to society. So anybody who is cast in that stone is one that the NDC will always want to associate with. And so we are here not because of just his charity, let me emphasize that, but we are here because of the person Achu is. Achu is a national asset. Achu has brought members football. He's touched a lot of humanity. And so you cannot party, we celebrate Ghanaians who distinguish themselves, and Achu is one such Ghanaian. And so if the NDC is here this morning, we are here to celebrate his life and then also mourn and condole with his family.
Achu's humanitarian works transcends across Ghana all the way to Nigeria. The Nigeria Football Supporters Club will also here to commiserate with the family of the late footballer. Khalik Ademola, who is the Secretary General of the Nigeria Football Supporters Club, spoke to City News after their visit.
Oh, actually, we are here to sympathize with them, and as traditional demand, we're supposed to be here. And we believe we are coming back for the other stages of the funeral. We are going to participate fully, and whatever support we're supposed to also give, I believe we will do our best.
International evangelist Dr. Lawrence Tete also paid respect to the family of the late Christian Achu. The family of the late Christian Achu, the Sports Ministry and the Ghana Football Association will meet on Friday to deliberate further on arrangements for his one-week observation scheduled for Saturday, the 4th of March, and also his final burial rites. Reporting for City News, I am Evans Ofochu Manson.
Visiting the family house of the late Christian Achu. And Jude, yesterday I watched the video of Kojo Asamoah, and he couldn't just hold himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very difficult situation, and when it was, I mean, the circumstances leading to his death even more devastating. So you can understand the outpouring of emotions on this particular one. I've always said that from afar, as a football fan, as a football lover, you could even tell of the kind of person Achu was. So his death is a devastating blow, very painful, and I've said that at every remembrance of Achu, we still give thanks to God for the life he lived and for his works in philanthropy, his work helping people on and off.
Just hold your thoughts there, because my colleague Evans Ofochu Manso, who is also with the Sports Desk, he is currently with the Sports Minister to give us up to speed plans for
He just held a meeting with the family of Christian Achu and also officials from the Ghana Football Association. And I would like to pick his thoughts on the deliberations that they had earlier this morning. Good morning, sir, and welcome to CTTV.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Deliberations earlier this morning.
Yeah, it is true. The family of our late brother, Christian Achu, with the GFA, paid a courtesy call on me this morning for us to have deliberation on how to give our brother a befitting funeral. Like I said, our brother is no more just for the family alone. He's a state asset, having contributed immensely to the development of Ghana football and even football around the world. It is unfortunate that we have lost him at this age, but the good thing we also a state funeral, and we are going to call on His Excellency the President of the Republic on Monday. And once we call on His Excellency the President on Monday, the plans that the family has tabled to the ministry and the GFA, we will then make it public, because it is subject to we getting confirmation from His Excellency the President of the Republic. Like I said, he's the #1 gentleman of this great country, and he's very much interested in making sure that we give our brother a befitting funeral. From day one, making sure that he directed the ambassador, Ghana ambassador to Turkey, to ensure that our brother is found alive. The ambassador facilitated to get the family of Christian Achu, his brother, sister, and his agent, to the center, epicenter, where the FA officials from that wasn't the case. But the good thing is that we have found our brother. His Excellency the President ensured that the body is transported from Turkey to Ghana. As we speak, it's here. Not less than any person than the Vice President of the Republic welcomed the body, and you saw the ceremony, the colorful ceremony that the government gave to the arrival. I want to ensure that we go through the process of giving him a very befitting funeral.
We know that
wishing to the development of football in Ghana.
We know that his 1 week observation will be held on the 4th of March 2023. Was the
So that is the conversation with Ivan Sofochu Manso, who is with the sports desk here.
Committee to have been put in place, a funeral planning committee have been put in place by this ministry, which is working with the family and the FA to ensure that everything that is needed to ensure that we have a very good funeral is done.
I'm sure you follow the humanity work of Christian Achu. Let me pick your thoughts on that, what he did for humanity before he passed away.
That is why I said, even though he lived just 31 years on earth, but he has a very impactful life by touching the life of many other people, not only in Ghana, but across the world. We've seen testimony coming from not only in Ghana, but across the world. That tells you the sort of person Achu is. Very humble and also in society.
So that's the Sports Minister, Honorable Mustafa Yusuf, giving us a summary of the deliberations they had earlier this morning between his ministry, the family of Achu, and also the officials from the Ghana Football Association. This is Evans Ofochumanso for City News.
Thank you so much, Evans. And that is Evans that he spoke to the Sports Minister, Mustafa Yusuf, who gave us an update on the conversation that the ministry had with the family of the late Christian Achu. I think that a state burial is coming and is needed, that he should be given such a burial.
The Vice President was quite emphatic when he said that the states would be involved in making sure there's a befitting burial for Achu. I think that was quite clear and straightforward, and we'll be looking forward to that. It's only right that someone who represented the country at the international level is given a befitting burial, considering the circumstances that led to his death. We should be circumspect during this period. We should allow the family to mourn their loss. I don't think it's proper of that in these very trying times. So just some word of advice to our fellow media practitioners out there.
We'll still keep you up to speed. What happened inside the family house of the late Christian Achu. But this is still CNR Extra here on CCTV. My name is Philip Lartey. I'm here with Jude, Mensa, Duncan. Still to come. Users of Law Court Complex in Accra, including physically challenged, forced to climb layers of staircase to access justice due to malfunction of all elevators available to the public. Stay with us. We're back with more stories.
Plus is a fully skimmed evaporated milk. Creamy Plus is available in a shop near you.
This message has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Everybody, let me see.
My name is Joe Metal, and I want to invite you specially to the induction service of Dr. Stephen Wyndham and the outdooring of the new executive presbytery officers of the Assemblies of God. It's happening on the 25th of this February, 9 a.m. sharp at the Grand Arena International. That God will lead them to take the church to where He intends it to be. God bless you and see you there.
There is about to be a shift, growth, and transformation as they plan to reach, rebuild, restore, reform, reposition, and rebrand the Assemblies of God Ghana. Proverbs chapter 11 verse 14. Where no counsel is, the people fall, but there is safety in the multitude of counselors. Come, let us welcome and celebrate our new Assemblies of God leaders. God bless you.
You're welcome back. This is CNR Extra here on CCTV. You can join us with your thoughts, submissions, and comments via our WhatsApp line 0204447033, and you can join us on YouTube as we stream there live on CCTV. Let's take it to Parliament because the House has requested that the Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, appears before the House to explain reasons why there are vaccine shortage in the country.
And the House has requested that Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Manu appears before the House to answer questions about the country's current vaccine shortage on Tuesday, February 28, 2022. Over the past 2023, Over the past months, the northern region and other parts of the country have been experiencing vaccine shortage with no solution in place. The Ghana Health Service has, on the other hand, attributed the shortage the country will receive the vaccines in 2 weeks. The concerning situation has pushed the interest of the chairman of Parliament's Health Committee, who sees the need to call the Minister of Health and other agency heads to an emergency meeting. Meanwhile, the Pediatric Society of Ghana has also charged the government to take all the necessary steps to stem the negative trend of the vaccine shortage to avert further disease outbreaks among children in Ghana. And the House has requested that
this has been a big challenge, and some mothers are complaining to keep it. It's happening now because, according to the Ghana Health Service, it's because of the free fall of the cedi and that they are unable to purchase this. Well, as of yesterday, or 3 days ago, when Bernard Avele spoke to the Ghana Health Service director, he indicated that they are working assiduously to get some of the vaccines into the country.
Yeah, but you see, and this is my problem, my the country. It had to take the media, that's a report from the Daily Graphic, then further expoused more on the breakfast show before we saw officials coming to provide certain answers to questions we've been raising. Now, yesterday, the Pediatric Society of Ghana put out a press release, and the concerns they've raised is even staggering, even more serious in my opinion, if you ask me, because we understand from the Ghana Health Service that there's an outbreak of measles. But according to the Pediatric Society of Ghana, the situation is even dire. Alone, one health facility alone, over 90 cases of measles was reported. And mind you, it's a vaccine preventable disease. So I feel like our authorities really aren't forthcoming with the necessary information. Something like this shouldn't be managed behind the scenes, because a lot of resources, and I'm referring to.
But if you say it shouldn't be managed behind the scenes, it's not all the information that the public can consume. Some of them would be handled by the various authorities before the public gets to know about it.
That is true. I mean, but you need to communicate it. You need to know that indeed there's a vaccine shortage, and for that reason you create the atmosphere where pressure is on whoever's responsibility it is to ensure that some of these vaccines come into the country. I mean, trying to solve it without letting major stakeholders, who I believe parents are part of, to know what the problem is at hand, is always going to create a very difficult situation. So I don't think the best approach is to try and manage it behind the scenes. But if the Ghana Health Service themselves had come out to say, these are the challenges we are facing and this is what we are doing to rectify the problem, I think we would have sort of provided proper solution. So, I mean, I would want to commend the Health Committee of Parliament, Mita Akando and his team, for swiftly moving to ensure that these pertinent questions, some answers are brought to these questions. But for me, like I've said, the Pediatric Society of Ghana have come out to say that we need to take an
action. I mean, immediate
action on this, or the consequences will be much more severe than we find ourselves in.
So we'll just also keep you updated as to what the health minister will tell Parliament concerning the shortage of the vaccines that is needed most amongst the children population to ensure that they are safe when it comes to measles. Let's move away from that story and bring you what is happening at the Law Court Complex in Accra, where physically challenged are forced to climb layers of staircase to access justice due to the malfunction of all the 4 elevators available at the public space. Let's bring you that insight.
Of the Law Court Complex in Accra, including the physically challenged, are forced to climb layers of staircase to access justice. In 5 floors. 4 months after, for months, I beg your pardon, the elevators and some air conditioners in the building have been out of order. Citizen Charles Ozukumi has been studying the facility and has more to share with us. Charles, please take it up.
This building behind me is the Law Court Complex here in Accra. It was inaugurated just about 8 years ago in 2015, so it's a fairly new building. This ultramodern that unfortunately have all broken down, including some air conditioners. And this morning we've been speaking to some of the users of the building, and they've been telling us how difficult it is to use this huge building with 5 floors without its elevators.
It's quite a long time, more than 6 months I can say. Yeah, I'm sure about for the past 6 months, the elevators have not worked.
I can see that you're holding a walking aid. How the fact that the elevator hasn't been working, how is that affecting your work?
I'm compelled to cope with the situation. I don't like it, but there's very little I can do. This is a new building. This structure is a giant structure that was constructed not long ago. And we don't expect that the elevator is not one, about 4. They're all broken down and they're not repaired up to now. We don't really understand.
It's not done. It's not done because from the 3rd to the 5th, you are disabled on the 2nd. The court should know that they don't work for themselves, but they work for the total population who are able and some are disabled. So, I mean, they should be up and doing. This is not acceptable at all.
I'm also told that some air conditioners in the building.
In fact, initially, when I started coming here, the air conditioners were working, but in recent times, in fact, they normally open the windows. I don't know why that's good. Because look at climbing the 5th up to the 5th step and being exhausted and going to sit in the court, with no air conditioning. In fact, it's a tall order. It's a tall order. But I've not asked why the air conditioning are not on, because I expect the handlers should do the needful, because the air conditioning are there, it should be for the public. Why are they not working?
This pregnant paralegal also shares her experiences with the malfunctioning elevators in the law court complex with us.
I'm a paralegal. I come to the court to do filing from my office, and then we are hoping to get fixed early so that I will not go through that stress anymore. So that's it.
I can see it's even more stressful for you. I mean, you're heavily pregnant. I can see that.
Yeah, very, very stressful. Sometimes I would have to sit at a particular floor, wait a little before I continue to. And I mostly go to the 5th floor. That is my challenge.
We've been making some effort to get the judicial service, who are managers of the law court complex, to speak to the issue, but they have declined to speak to us on record. What is apparent, though, is that the elevators in that building need urgent fixing to enhance justice delivery and access to justice. My name is Charles Osukumi. I've been reporting for City News.
And in this urgent fixing, and that is what the very Act 2006 as 715, it states that it must make it mandatory for all buildings which the public has access to be fitted with disability-friendly facilities to make them accessible to the PWDs, that is people
Isn't it interesting? We still have to deal with some of these things in no less place than the law court itself. For me, it's preposterous and it's quite unfortunate. I mean, we saw in the video, it's one thing the reporter telling us that they are struggling, and it's another thing seeing it for yourself, the struggle with which they go through in assessing the vulnerable. Really, it's a society that But the point, the bigger point I'm making is that it's unfortunate that
this is important
happening.
that it has to be fixed. Nonetheless, if there are some funds that needs to be given to these authorities to get them fixed, it has to be fixed. For elevators not working, air conditions not working.
The problem also is our maintenance culture as a
That's the
people.
thing.
And it's not only limited to the courts. I mean,
everywhere.
Across board. I, for the life of me, go to the Accra Sports Stadium and try to use any of their public facilities, their washrooms, restaurants. I mean, it's in a terrible shape. Go to hospitals where you expect at least some level of our lack of maintenance culture, or let me say, then it's virtually non-existent. So we really need to have that conversation again. And personally, I think the NCCE, the National Commission for Civic Education, can take it up as one of their personal projects. I think we would have to start with the government of Ghana. We would need, of course, for some of these public spaces, there is just
it's mandatory that all buildings must be made.
A lot of it is
disability-friendly.
just down to our maintenance culture and how even as some people as Ghanaians don't take personal responsibility when they use some of these facilities.
This thing. So as the authority is fixing it, individuals like us who go there to access these facilities should also ensure that it's being kept well. Maintenance is very important. Let's move away from this story and bring you what is happening at our Win traditional area, where the chiefs and elders there in the Western North are calling on government to intensify security in the area.
Chiefs and elders of the Alwyn traditional area of the Western North region are calling on government to take immediate action on the assassination attempts and threats of insecurity against the Alwyn paramount chief. Schemes which include the use of offensive weapons against the paramount chief have been reported to the police. No requisite action have been taken on the criminal conduct. The following report has more.
The paramount chief for Alwyn traditional area, Beye Maintanokwa Bembui III, was installed as king on 23rd March 2019, but has still not been gazetted due to some chieftaincy disputes surrounding his installment. According to reports, there were a series of clashes which led to the killing of 4 persons on 6 November 2022. The Tufuhine of Alwyn traditional area, Nana Peng II, in his address to the media, questioned the inaction of the police and demanded a thorough investigation into the matter.
Not less than 10 assassination attempts have taken place, but we haven't seen any. The case gets to the police station. Perpetrators. You know, the case is between 2 factions. Those against our Omahine and those for. Those for Omahine are arrested. And the case goes on, and then it's still pending. But none of those perpetrators have been arrested and brought to book.
Nana Peng II further indicated that the people of Alwyn need protection.
And when our complaint gets to the police and they don't give it the maximum attention, it makes us to lose the trust and confidence we have in the police, and that shouldn't be the case. We have no litigation chieftaincy problem with the police, but their handling and management of crime relating to chieftaincy is what is causing the conflict between us and the police. Police know that the mine in the palace needs security, protection.
In an interview with some residents of Enchi, they stated how unsafe they are in carrying out their day-to-day activities.
Sometimes we even feel that without your consent, maybe somebody can do something. We cannot, and we don't sometimes we don't feel happy at all. We don't feel happy because where we are working also is close to the chief house.
And Ukraine sana help amaye. Yentumi mu stock ra. Ayem sisi any idea. Think I stress and kasumdwi bi beba.
Some members of the community here in Enchi say they are on the security situation here to ensure that peace reign in the Awin traditional area. Reporting for City News, Stanley Boedi, Enchi.
So that is what is coming from the Awin traditional area. They are asking the government and also the police to intensify security there. But in the reports there, it was stated that due to chieftaincy disputes, that is what is actually resulting into these issues that is happening there. And it looks like every now and then,
for the longest of periods, really, the chieftaincy minister, we understood in the media, that's the outgone chieftain who resigned recently, Ebenezer Kum, for the longest of periods was unwell. So it appears that there's some sort of lack of action in that ministry. When you go back and you listen to the vetting of Mr. Stephen Asamoah Boateng during the vetting process where he was nominated as the new chieftaincy minister, you get the impression that there are so many challenges in that particular ministry. I mean, so many of it are not even talk about. Particular ministry right now. So with his expertise and his experience, hopefully he's able to bring on board some innovative ideas to help in dealing with some of these challenges. I mean, for all you might know, some of them is just dialogue, really, sitting together and ironing out differences. So we want to wish Stephen Asamoah Boateng, he has the charisma, he has the energy, and he has the drive to.
And there's a lot of work in that.
So we want to urge Parliament to quickly go ahead with the appointment, with the approval. That's if he meets the criteria, so he can go into work. It's just a year and a half, really, tenure. But I believe that if he commits himself to it, he should be able to put in some work in ironing out chieftaincy.
Safe, and that means that the security situation there must be beefed up so that at least the people living around the palace will be safe for the meantime. This is still CNR Extra here on CCTV, still to come. Players in the textiles industry lament the negative impact of the removal of the subsidy on residual fuel oil on their operations. Stay with us, we'll be back with that story.
I passed by your favorite barbecue place and I got you something.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your pain level?
No, focus, Ayana.
Push harder.
I'm trying.
Oh, but you've got to try harder.
I can't.
What I think is happening here is the usual bureaucratic nonsense.
They forced their way into the patient's room.
What? And they held over his head.
No.
And you're not going to stop until you destroy everything that is good and decent about this hospital. I'm just lost for words.
Thank you for rescuing me from that accident.
You're welcome back. Let's bring you that story of the textiles industry players who are excited about the decision of government to remove the subsidy on residual fuel oil.
On CDTV. Now, as the impact of inflation lingers coupled with the recent hike in utility tariffs, players in the textiles industry are lamenting the negative impact of the removal of the subsidy of residual fuel oil, RFO, on their operations. Government, effective November 1, 2022, withdrew the subsidy on RFO to ease the financial burden on the price stabilization and recovery accounts. The National Petroleum Authority justified the move, arguing that it was to ensure availability and supply of the product. Speaking in an interview with City News Business Desk, the managing director of the Textiles Ghana Limited stated that this is significantly increasing the cost of production.
So we use $55% of subsidy, and representing 60% of our COGS. It means that if you really want to replicate that on the consumers or on the shopper, you have to increase pricing done more than 100%, which we couldn't do. Things, and I believe that they made a choice that more, and they would put the hard currency somewhere else. So the inability to pay the RFO on our behalf on the 55% made them remove the subsidy. But I mean, we all know it's been very difficult for the Ghana government, and they're trying to support as best as they can, but they can't.
So that is the situation coming from the textiles industry. The RFO, as of the year 2022, at the start of the year 2022, the subsidy on RFO was 55%, and then it was slashed to 15% around July last year, and completely suspended at the start of November 2022. And this is also affecting the fisher folk, because the subsidy have also been removed on the premix fuel. So it looks like almost every sector at all.
I mean, at the time when government came out with this directive, we were told that was an interim measure to ease the burden, the financial burden on the price stabilization and recovery account. So for me, if now we've been able to make some gains in the period, I hope government can go back to the drawing board and engage users of these residual fuel, so we can make some progress. But to just neglect their concerns, I'm not particularly sure about that. So we want to plead with government, urge government to see how they can come on board. So we want to plead that the major or the stakeholders involved in this particular story will just find a way to meet each other halfway, so some progress can be made.
Well, so we hope that government and the players in the various industries, that is the textiles industry and also the fishing industry concerning that of the fisher folk, will meet, and that will find a solution to the problem, how the operations has been affected so far as the subsidy on the residual fuel oil has been removed. This is how we end today's edition of CNR Extra here on City TV. My name is Philip Lartey. I did this with Jude.
CDTV. Now, as the impact of inflation lingers